You ever meet someone so miserable that even the sound of birds chirping probably offends them? Yeah, that's my neighbor. The human embodiment of a car alarm that never stops. So when he started screaming at some workers for parking legally in front of his house, I decided it was time for a little poetic justice. Let's just say his trash didn't get taken out that week. But karma sure did. If you've ever had that neighbor, the one who thinks they own the entire street, hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video if you believe petty revenge is a perfectly legitimate form of therapy. All right, let's dive into this story of one angry man, one parked trailer, and one very satisfying dose of neighborly payback. I can't stand my neighbor. And believe me, that's not an exaggeration. This guy has made it his life's mission to suck the joy out of the neighborhood. He's the type who complains if your grass grows half an inch too tall or if your wind chimes make too much noise. One time, I swear he reported a kid for riding his bike too close to his driveway. But I've learned to ignore him mostly. I live between two houses. On one side, this sour-faced, joyless man who probably yells at clouds for existing. And on the other side, a great guy, my friend and actual decent human being, Greg. Greg was getting some excavation work done in his backyard. Fixing drainage and grading the soil. Pretty normal stuff. That's where this whole mess began. On Sunday night, the excavation crew dropped off their equipment, a big truck and a trailer carrying a backhoe. They parked it along the curb, about 15 feet back from Mr. Misery's driveway. A completely legal, temporary, harmless inconvenience. But I knew this was going to set him off. This man treats the curb in front of his house like it's his private property. Even though it's a public street, you could see the veins on his forehead throbbing when anyone dared to park there. I once saw him storm out of his house just to glare at a pizza delivery guy who stopped there for 30 seconds. So when I saw that trailer outside his house, I almost felt bad for the workers. Almost. The excavation was a 2-day job. The crew showed up early Monday morning, worked hard, and by Tuesday afternoon they were nearly done. Around that time, I saw Mr. Mean himself roll his trash cans down his driveway. Now, this guy has two modes, complaining and plotting. He dragged those bins right up to the front of the workers' truck, so close that they couldn't possibly pull forward without knocking them over. I watched him with my arms crossed, half amused, half disgusted. He knew exactly what he was doing, setting a petty trap. Then he got in his car, backed out, and of course, couldn't resist one last jab. He rolled down his window and barked, "When are you gonna move that big ugly thing from in front of my house?" The worker, clearly tired but polite, said, "We're finishing up now, sir." The man grunted, rolled his eyes, and drove off like he'd just saved the neighborhood from chaos. I swear if arrogance had a sound, it would be the screech of his car pulling away. That's when the idea hit me. I walked over to the worker, trying not to laugh, and said, "Those trash cans are so close to your truck that I don't think the garbage truck will even be able to reach them tomorrow. They'll probably skip his house entirely." The worker paused, looked at me, then at the cans, and this slow, sly smile spread across his face. He nodded. "Yeah," he said quietly, "that would be terrible." We shared that unspoken bond of mutual understanding, the kind of silent agreement between two people who know exactly what's about to happen and exactly how satisfying it's going to be. I patted him on the shoulder, said, "Have a good night," and walked back to my house. Evening rolled in. The sun dipped low behind the houses, and that big trailer was still sitting right there, hulking and beautiful, like a monument to petty revenge. From my living room window, I saw my neighbor pacing in his driveway, muttering to himself. His hands kept waving in the air like he was trying to conduct an invisible orchestra of frustration. Every few minutes, he'd peek out again, glare at the truck, then stomp back inside. I imagined him calling the city, the police, maybe even the president, demanding that someone do something about this monstrosity blocking his royal view. But the street was public. The crew had every right to leave their equipment there overnight. Meanwhile, I sat on my porch with a cup of coffee, enjoying the show. Sometimes, karma doesn't need a grand plan. Sometimes it just needs a nudge and a well-placed trash can. Morning came, trash day. the garbage truck rumbled down the street like clockwork. I was up early, sitting by the window, pretending to check emails, but really just waiting for the show to begin. The truck stopped at each house, mechanical arms grabbing the cans and flipping them neatly. Then it reached Mr. Mean's house. The driver slowed down, tried to line up the truck, but nope. Those cans were wedged just inches away from the excavation trailer. The driver honked once, waited, then shrugged and drove right past. Skipped completely. I could almost hear the neighbor's scream echoing from his living room. An hour later, I peeked outside. There he was, in his robe, standing beside his untouched trash cans, staring at them like they'd personally betrayed him. He looked left, looked right, muttering under his breath about incompetent city workers. But deep down, you could tell, he knew. He knew someone had out, pettied him, and there was nothing he could do about it. And the best part, that trailer, still there. The crew didn't move it until late that evening, making sure the job and the lesson was complete. For the next few days, he was quieter, almost like the wind had been knocked out of his sails. He didn't glare at passing cars anymore, didn't scream at delivery drivers. Even his dog-walking routine looked less angry. Maybe, just maybe, he realized that acting like the self-appointed sheriff of the street wasn't doing him any favors. And honestly, that was the sweetest part, because the revenge wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic. It was simple, clean, and perfectly tailored to his own brand of pettiness. A mirror held up to his face, and what he saw wasn't flattering. He wanted control, he got chaos, he wanted dominance, he got ignored. And that, my friends, is what poetic justice smells like: a driveway full of weak old trash. You know, revenge doesn't always need to be destructive. Sometimes it's about balance. A quiet little reminder that the world doesn't revolve around your ego. When people act like they own everything, they forget one important truth: respect is a two-way street. And in this case, it just so happened that street had a parked trailer on it. If you've ever had a neighbor who thought the world belonged to them, drop a "karma always wins" in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more stories where justice and trash always find their rightful place. Because sometimes revenge isn't just sweet, it's beautifully inconvenient.